Hey everyone! I started this channel for teaching purposes, but I must admit, I'm on the first week of my summer holidays and all I can think about is traveling. And as my husband and I are preparing to go overseas, um, yeah, I'm getting really excited. And so I'm starting to organize some of my things. Some of you may know that my husband and I lived in Germany for 4 years and since moved back to the States. I'm originally from Canada. My husband's from Puerto Rico. We're living in New York City. And so we still have a lot of really close friends over in Germany and just met through a love of travel. And that's a story for another day. Anyways, we've always been traveling. And so grateful for our health through the pandemic, and both of us are vaccinated now and are going to take the opportunity to travel overseas. So, why am I making this video? Well, besides being excited, I really am starting to look through my credit cards and my debit cards, all of that kind of stuff, and seeing what do I need to be doing to maximize not only my time over there, but my enjoyment and being able to spend money on the things that I want to spend money on. So, kind of feel weird making this because it feels like I'm doing a commercial, but I'm not sponsored by anybody. I just have some tips for traveling and thought if you are wanting to travel out of the country anywhere, whether it's the Caribbean or to Europe or South America, and you've not really done a lot of that, there are some little tips and tricks that I wanted to share with you. So, the first one is that you want to make sure that you are using credit cards that are not going to charge you a transaction fee. So, the reason that got me thinking about making this video is because I grabbed two of my trusty credit cards. We're leaving in a couple of weeks, and I was like, oh my goodness, are my credit cards expired? Because COVID. And who's been looking at these kinds of credit cards in a while? Not us. Like everything's just been stuck in a drawer, and we haven't been thinking about traveling. So for myself, Charles Schwab, sorry, I love their debit card, and I got into using it before we ever moved to Europe when we were living in Texas and we were traveling to Europe for the first time because I'd heard about these transaction fees. And so a lot of credit cards or debit cards, they're going to charge you transaction fees. So every single transaction you do, you're getting charged 2 to 3%. Now that may not seem like a lot, but when you're traveling, you don't want to take out a gigantic large sum of money because maybe you will misplace your wallet or something would happen to you and you don't want to lose all of that money. So you want to have something kind of manageable in your wallet where you feel comfortable traveling around, but yet you have enough money, but you're not afraid to go back to the ATM or back to a bank and be charged repeatedly for this 2 to 3% transaction fee. So that is why I got Capital One. They, at the time, were offering, and they still continue to offer, they're one of the best credit card companies for that, to just offer no transaction fees. And so for our credit card, I don't even think we have an annual fee on this one. It's just a nice benefit, and we tend to only use it when we travel overseas. The reason we have Charles Schwab is because that's acting, even though it's a Visa, it's acting as an ATM card. So I just usually keep kind of like a small balance in there. And when I know that I'm going to be traveling, I might put a couple extra $100 in there so that if I'm overseas and I've planned the money that I'm going to spend, but I get somewhere and I need some cash on hand and I don't want to use a credit card, I can go to any ATM, take out whatever. I mean, maybe there's a maximum of $400 a day or something, but I can take out whatever I need and I'm not going to get charged, $5, $15, $20, question mark. Don't know how many dollars, but I'm desperate, so I need to go to an ATM, or a percentage of the amount of money I'm taking out. So these are just little tips and tricks. So the first thing I would do if I were you and you're traveling is check your basic credit card that you use, contact them and ask them, what is your foreign transaction fee? Meaning, if you use this credit card at a restaurant or a store, what are you going to get charged? Are you going to get charged 3% for every purchase you make? Are you going to get charged 2%? Are you going to get charged more than that? Or do you happen to be lucky and have a credit card that has no foreign transaction fees, i.e., 0%? If you don't, this is a great time to find one and sign up for it. I actually am going to sign up for a new one. We haven't traveled now in a couple of years, um, since before the pandemic started. I think the last time, well, actually, the last time overseas, I guess, was 2020. We got back in January 2020. But the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, I saw a great deal for a $95 annual fee, but it's zero transaction fees. But what's great is you can earn up to 100,000 bonus points after you spend your first $4,000 within a time period. I think it's 3 months. Now, that may seem like a lot of money, but at the same time, if you have the ability to put your rent on your credit card, or you have the ability to put your car payment for the next 3 months, plus your groceries and whatever else, you may find that you are able to meet that $4,000 in that time frame. If just for a couple of months you pay your bills that way and then just pay your credit card off the way you would normally just pay your bills. So even if you don't spend the whole $4,000 in the first 3 months, you can get a percentage of less than that 100,000 bonus points. Why are bonus points important? Well, you probably know, because you can use them at restaurants or hotels or car rentals. And for my husband and myself, we ended up using bonus points that we had with our American Advantage credit card. And believe me, I am not somebody who uses a lot of credit cards. I really am not. But over the years, I'd accumulated enough points with my AA card that we just purchased round trip tickets to Paris for $100 or $150 for the two of us. Pretty amazing. And they were going to be like $700 each. Direct.
Hey, so I'm clearly not a professional YouTuber. I stopped yesterday, got busy with things, and now I'm back today. Caked in sunscreen, trying to get a little bit of a tan. And I wanted to finish my points to you about travel tips related to credit cards and debit cards. Okay, so dynamic currency conversion is fancy term for saying that when you are overseas, if people ask you, oh, do you want to pay in the local currency, or do you want to pay in US dollars, or if you're from Canada, in Canadian dollars, and you're kind of like stuck thinking, I don't know what I want to pay. What am I supposed to pay? You kind of ask them, and they don't really know themselves, but they're giving you that option. It's almost always better to pay in the local country's currency, and then have that be something that automatically happens when you get your bill. You're usually going to get a better rate for that. This is not a good idea to be doing this video outside. I'm like totally squinting because it's so bright out. Anyways, a tip before you go: take a picture front and back of all of your credit cards, your health insurance card, your passport, your driver's license, all of that stuff. Give it to a trusted family member. I know sometimes people put it in their phones, but I'm always afraid that what if my phone gets stolen? So I do use apps that are locked, like my phone is locked, but then the app itself is locked with a code. So that's also a possibility. Quite honestly, I do keep a couple of documents, copies of them, because I get asked for them a lot, and it's nice to have a copy even when I'm here locally in New York City or if I'm traveling. Obviously, this is kind of an obvious one, except maybe you haven't traveled, so maybe it's not obvious. Contact your bank, your credit cards, put a fraud alert on there, tell them that you are traveling overseas. Usually it's sufficient to say I'm going to Europe, but sometimes we'll tell them I'm going to these 4 countries, or I'm going to these 2 countries, so that if any other purchases show up, they know, number one. And number two, if you say nothing and then all of a sudden you start like boom, boom, boom using your credit card, yeah, you might find yourself locked out of using your credit card, and you do not want to have that happen when you're overseas, because it's really hard to make the phone calls, to contact the people, to get the fraud alert taken off, all of those kinds of things. So just let your bank, your credit cards know that you're going to be traveling outside of the country. And also take advantage, I've written like some notes down, take advantage of any perks that your credit card has, or your debit cards. A lot of times we don't know what those perks are because we're not using them all the time. So my advice to you is to also, when you're calling your credit card and telling them, hey, we're going to be overseas, ask them, do you have any special discounts, any special perks, protections? Sometimes they might help with flight discounts, they might help with hotel reservations, they might help with insurance, things like that. You never know. So just, that's my little piece of advice. Do the legwork before you travel, get as much information as you can, communicate as much as you can, so then when you're over there, you don't have to think about any of those things. Oh, also, write down the phone numbers to contact your credit card or debit card in case there were a problem. This might seem overboard because we're all connected to the internet at different times as well, even if you don't have an overseas plan. But you might also want to write down the number of the, like, if you're from Canada, the Canadian consulate, or the US consulate in France or in Germany, just in case something did happen and you had that number already programmed into your phone. Or sometimes they even do that with the airline numbers, like what's the customer service number when I am overseas. I said that was all of my tips, but I would like to also say I am going next week to T-Mobile, who is I have my cell phone with, and I will switch to an international plan for a month. Sometimes credit cards might, like, you might already have that built into your plan, or in with credit cards they might have some kind of perk related to that. But I know for myself, I think I can pay like $5 or $10 extra for the month, and I can have free Wi-Fi, roaming, calls, stuff like that when I'm over in Europe. And that didn't used to be the case, but they're doing those kinds of things now. So anyways, I hope you have a great day. And as a true Canadian, apologies for this jagged video from one day to the next with my oiled up skin here, but I wanted to make sure that I completed the video. And take care, everybody. If you're from Canada, if you're from the United States, connect with me. If you're from anywhere else actually in the world, leave a comment, because I love meeting people from all over the world. And I also like meeting people from my neck of the woods here in New York City, and obviously love to connect with Canadians. Miss my homeland so much, and I hope to get there later this summer. All right, take care.